she says one more thing that I want to talk about. And then I'm going to wrap up with something she said herself that I do think is inspiring. Go ahead.
Over 1,500 students had petitioned. Nearly 500 staff and faculty had spoken up, all overwhelmingly against the unprecedented sanctions.
Okay, stop. Unprecedented sanctions. So sanctions are the disciplinary action. Sanctions sounds so serious, like the UN sanctions people. Okay, these students were punished. Okay, you can't do certain. I'm sure there's a whole list of things you can't do in a classroom at Harvard. Okay, and if you repeatedly do it or do it in court, there's consequences. So the sanctions literally are just the punishment. And I just think what I want to point out, I really hope that she listens to this. It's the rhetorical tricks that concern me. Okay? She presents to us quickly that 1,500 students. Okay, 1,500, that's a lot. Wow. But you know what? There's 22,947 students at Harvard. I did that number quickly from a search. I'm going to assume that's about that. So 1,500 is 6.5%. Does that sound impressive? 6.5%? Oh, 500 faculty and staff. There are 16,000 faculty and staff members. That's 3%. Okay? 3%. So is 3% and 6% impressive? So these rhetorical tricks, this is what concerns me. You know, she encourages her fellow students to go out into the not knowing, right? Not knowing is not a license to use rhetorical strategies to convince people and to get them emotionally riled up on things that really aren't statistically impressive. When you first look at her, you say to yourself, she's obviously confident and articulate. That was the first word. And I said, you know what? I caught myself because words matter. And I did another search. And if we look quickly at this is interesting here. If you look at the definition of articulate, it's a person having the ability to speak fluently. True, that she definitely does. And coherently. Okay? If I look here, one of the definitions, it's nice to look at multiple, says logically, coherently, logically. Is she speaking coherently? She's not. She's not coherent. She's not logical. Therefore, she's not articulate. She's fluent. Using rhetorical tricks, relying on the emotion of her fellow students, caught up by her own emotions. I get it. She's really not to blame. She's got so much potential. She's a victim of professors not calling her out. She's a victim of a society turning a blind eye to what really needs to be taught to people in their early 20s as they enter the world, especially leaders like her. You can tell she's going to lead. She's going to lead somebody. Go ahead and finish it up.
And as a Harvard graduate, for me, what is happening on campus is about liberty. This is about civil rights and upholding democratic principles.
Okay, stop. Liberty, freedom. Is it only her freedom and only the freedom of the 13 and the freedom of the protesters? It's not just their liberty. Okay, democracy. This is democratic. There are rules put together by a group of people, a community. It's called a charter or the corporation, the bylaws, the ordinances. They were followed. So democracy actually is at work. Okay, the poor child is a little confused. Okay, it's also the rights of those not involved. And in this case, the majority, it sounds like. The majority of students who weren't involved in this. So, I mean, I think again, this rhetorical appeal to these huge principles. Principles are used to set us free and set us on the path of truth. They're not used as weapons to get people to clap. And the fact that so many people are clapping, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. All right, go ahead, Rob. Listen to the applause.
The students had spoken. The faculty had spoken.
Again, 6%, 3% have spoken.
Harvard, do you hear us?
All right, Rob, stop that, please. I think this is the point. 3% spoke, 6% spoke. Stay with me on this, because it's really important. This is who ends up in Congress. And they continue this. Right? We have to have intellectual integrity and honesty. The best of the best are clapping for what's incoherent and not logical. They're praising what's fluent but not coherent. You have to be articulate. It's not just about convincing, it's about leading into the truth. I want you to listen to the close of her speech now, and listen with hope with me, because I think there's something here that we can take away. So we're going to go to the end of the speech, and we'll end it there. Go ahead.
And how we navigate it that will set us apart moving forward. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. But I encourage you to dive into the deep end of discomfort. Engage with the nuances.
Can you stop there, Rob? You know what I find interesting? The clapping is so much when she says engage into the engage the nuances, right? The dive into the unknown. The nuance. This is what we're doing. We're talking about the nuances of language, the subtlety, the precision. A great coach will take his athlete, the best one on the team, and if he's a good coach and he's a good athlete, and he will correct him in the smallest manner. She's this young lady she's your all-star, man. Right? She can go to the big leagues. Tighten it up. Tighten it up. Right? Pay attention to your footwork. Right? Don't forget the basics. Critical thinking, logic 101, fallacies. Pay attention to these things. Subtleties, you just said it yourself. Listen to yourself. When she went back on script, the speech is back on script at the end, the one that's published in Harvard Magazine. You find yourself shaking your head, yes, to almost all of it. If she stays herself and she has discipline and has first things first and keeps her emotions in check and doesn't get caught up by the mob, what's the ultimate lesson here? She can inspire. But when you let the mob influence you, you don't think. And a heart without a mind is not enough. And a mind without a heart is not enough. You need a heart and a mind. So go ahead and play the last two lines, please.
And bring with you a beginner's mind, an ethic of not knowing. Emily Dickinson had said, "Not knowing when the dawn will come, I open every door."
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Beautiful
And
words.
congratulations.
Not knowing. Open every door. Be brave. Parents that have children in college or going to college or raising children now or for ourselves, nuances. I'm going to listen to her advice. And that's when I decided I'm going to talk about this. I feel a little bad. I really do. You may hear it in my tone. Fathers don't want to chastise their children. But we have to be parents to those younger than us. Not out of arrogance and not out of being know-it-alls, because we've been around. And I pray that she has an incredible future and she listens to herself, her heart and her mind and her heart, and that she goes forward with great enthusiasm into this world. You have a great day today.